Well, hello, and welcome to Little State Big Voices with myself, Shahida, and my fabulous co host, Tracey.
Hey y'all.
So, we are going to be bringing you four special episodes as we're going to talk about menopause and perimenopause, this journey that all women go on. And we're going to bring on some very insightful, very funny, intelligent women who are friends of ours to kind of let's go over our experiences, but let's talk about, what we're going through because it's something that, our parents really didn't talk about. It was a taboo, subject, but it's so much and it's so intense. We really need to start bringing it to the forefront, especially since Black women suffer perimenopause and menopause much differently than other people do. So we're going to bring in our guest. Um, yeah, we'll bring in our guests and let them introduce themselves. Let's see. Our first guest is Norma. Hi,
Hello.
Norma.
Hello.
Hi.
How are
Y'all
you?
recognize Norma. You've seen her
I'm
before.
I'm good, thank you.
And we're bringing in Robbie. Hello,
Hi,
Robbie.
ladies. And
Hey.
hi, everybody.
Hello.
So I was saying,
Little state, big voices community. Hi.
hopefully we'll grow because all women are going through this, and we're going to talk. Tracey is actually going to break down the difference between perimenopause and menopause because I think that seems to be a misconception with all of us. We all think that once a hot flash starts, that's immediately menopause, but that's not the case. So go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Tracey.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, I definitely thought first hot flash, I was like, oh, obviously menopause is kicking in because that's the thing that you normally affiliate with menopause. But actually, let's talk about perimenopause. So that's the in-between phase, like before menopause officially kicks in. So it's the lead up to menopause. It's a whole experience in and of itself. So it's marked with irregular periods, and that's one of the biggest signs right there is like your period. You've had it for so long and then it's doing weird things that you're like, my period doesn't normally do this. Like, what's going on? That's normally a sign that your body's starting to change. And for many of us, that starts in our 40s. It may even start sooner for some women. But, here's the thing, especially for Black women, as Shahida mentioned, we're going to experience this differently. And those shifts can begin in us even as early as our mid 30s. So that's earlier than our other racial counterparts. Just biologically, it's just a thing that is understudied, but is starting to, we're becoming more aware of it basically. So studies have shown, and we've dug around with Johns Hopkins and some really reliable sources, and they show that Black women often enter perimenopause earlier, and our symptoms are not only coming earlier, but more intensely, like the hot flashes and the sleep interruptions, and we'll spend years in this phase and
Oof.
maybe even years longer than other people. So if you're feeling like your body's switching gears all of a sudden more than you ever expected, it's not your imagination, you're not crazy, and you're not alone, basically. So we're going to talk through this, we're going to talk openly, and we're going to talk on our own terms with our friends. So that's basically it.
So, ladies, since we know the difference between perimenopause and menopause, when can you say that you remember first starting to experience perimenopause? Was it with hot flashes or was it another symptom?
I would say, because I did not know there was a difference. Menopause to me meant menopause. I didn't know there was different stages of it. So I definitely had hot flashes in my mid 40s. I talked
Mm.
to my primary care doctor and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought it was something else. I'm like, I'm sweating, I'm cold. And then all of a sudden it would stop. And she's like, oh, that's menopause. But she didn't even explain to me that there was a difference.
I find that to be the biggest thing because
Mm-hmm.
menopause actually is the absence of your period for 12 consecutive months. So I'm actually in menopause now because I have not had a period since February 2024. But all that other stuff leading up to it was actually perimenopause. And
Yep.
I don't think my doctor used that word either.
Yeah.
I had a hysterectomy, so I wasn't sure when my period stopped because of
Mm,
that.
mm.
So
Hmm.
I'm not sure when exactly the menopause stage started and stopped.
That's
And
funny
that's
because
not
I thought you
uncommon.
don't get it when I'm learning stuff here. I always thought when you had a hysterectomy,
Mhm.
now you're not going to get any of those menopausal
No,
symptoms.
I think if you keep your ovaries,
Oh.
that because I didn't go on, I kept them. So
Hmm.
it was the uterus.
Okay. So that's probably what it is then.
Right. So
Okay.
I have to go
Okay.
on, because I was like, I can't take any medication, hormone therapy.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
was
Mm.
There's a word for that as well. They call it surgical menopause.
Ah.
Actually Black women go through that more because we have more operations as far as hysterectomies or partial hysterectomies than
partial. Yeah.
any other group. Yeah. So
Mm.
And Robbie, I want to hear about your perimenopause experience, but I want to
Sure.
add a footnote to what
Hmm.
Shahida just said. You have to keep in mind, as Black women, we also suffer fibroids at a higher percentage,
That's
which is why
exactly.
we have one of the reasons we have more surgeries
Yep.
and worse symptoms as well, because
Yep.
those fibroids hold on to blood in your uterus. So sometimes you don't even know if it's the period, did one of those things burst, all of that
Right.
crazy stuff. So, but I just want to add a footnote
oh
there
yeah,
before
that's a
you
good
tell us.
Yep.
footnote, girl.
Yeah.
Nope, that makes sense.
That makes it important.
Had that experience too.
Yes, that was the reason
But
I chose, yeah, the fibroids.
I'm 55 and a half, and I got the first, what is it? Perimenopause?
Got it. Yeah, perimenopause.
Okay. About 3 years, I would say a good 3 years ago, it started. So I went through the whole phase of a bunch of false starts. I have actually, I'm beyond the 12 months now, but I went through probably like three of those where I would get to 4 months, get to 6 months.
Mhm.
We could never get there. And it's crazy because the body is amazing. Like it is amazing. Like I would be sitting somewhere and it would just dawn on me and I would go, girl, you ain't had a hot flash in I don't know how long. And now I'm conscious of it, right? So I'm watching now and I'm waiting, and nothing would come. And then probably by the next day or the day after that, at the most, my period would come back, get my cycle back. And then once, we'll do that for a few months, and then I'll get a hot flash. And I'll be like, oh, same thing. Another day, 2 days pass, and then I'm expecting my cycle. Cycle's gone. Now it's back. I did that like 3 times, but it was just amazing to me how regulated my body was. Like it would just kick in automatically, like and that was kind of the catalyst. The catalyst was the hot flashes. Like that would dictate where you at in this journey right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have hot flashes or do you not? And that's how I knew where I was at. But right now I am totally 100% all the way in there.
I'm about to
You're
invest
all the
in
way
that.
in menopause.
Yes.
I got to invest in the Jamaican air horn because I feel like there have been a couple of moments here where I needed to toot that Jamaican like do 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 do. No period.
Well, mine was, and that's crazy because I feel like I missed the perimenopause as far as like the symptoms go because I had my period straight till I was 56, like I've said, until 24. I never missed it. I wasn't having like missed periods and then it would come back, 1 month and be gone for two. I didn't have any of that. And I think it was in January I spotted and I was like, okay, well, maybe we're slowing down here. And then in
Mm-hmm.
February, nothing happened. And then from there, and which I found interesting because when we say hot flashes, I was misinterpreting hot flashes with night sweats. So
Mm.
I technically didn't have hot flashes, but night sweats. That
Mm.
was
Mhm.
taking me out. Now I've had a hot flash, and I just want all of us after Tracy tells her story about how she went through the perimenopause. After that, what your first hot flash was like.
I got you.
Oh my goodness. So my perimenopause experience is completely different than you three. And I think the takeaway here is that no one's experience with menopause, perimenopause, or just your whole GYN journey is going to be
Mm.
alike. From the moment you get your period, I got my period at 9
Ooh, wow.
in church
Oh,
while I was
wow.
on the choir box.
Mm,
Um, but I got mine early, so I think that attributed to me kicking into perimenopause earlier. But I
sooner.
also had an IUD, which I think, although it couldn't be specified as what did you call it? A surgical menopause,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shahida?
Hmm.
I think that was another medical interruption of the natural process
Mhm.
because I had an IUD when I was 26. I had my last kid at 26. Got the IUD because I was like, I think I'm good on kids right now.
Mm-hmm.
10 years is the period that you have the IUD in for. So when I went back to get the IUD removed, I was like, yeah, I want it again because I like this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting my period most of that time, maybe I would say 7 or 8 years. I had a regular period on the IUD. Then it just started to like go away. And so when I went back to have it removed and replaced, they ran testing and they said there's really no point because you're actually in perimenopause and your egg count is like almost obsolete,
Mm.
which blew my mind at 36 years old.
Wow.
Wow. So they
Mm.
told you at 36, well, they said you could start earlier, which
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I found fascinating that we started, much earlier and it's more intense and it can go 10 years longer than other groups, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which
Mm.
But I
was
I came here for
yeah.
hope. I came here for hope.
No, we got hope. There's hope. There's light. There's light at the end of the tunnel and
Okay.
giveaways. So
Okay.
don't worry.
I'm gonna sip my martini anyway.
Sip your martini and Norman, you tell us that first hot flash experience.
So I thought it was, and I know now better, that the night sweatness. I woke up
Mhm.
thinking, like, why am I'm like covered in sweat and my husband's dry. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? It's blankets, I'm kicking things off. Then I was cold. So, but I think my first one, I was actually at work and all of a sudden, it was in the winter, probably like December, January. And all of a sudden, my whole face just sweated. I'm in a meeting and it just, for no reason, just sweat all over, armpits
Mm.
from waist up. And I'm like, what in the world is this? It was so bad that my coworker, male coworker, is like, "Are you okay?" like, like
Wow.
it was just pouring and I never sweat like that. So I kind of knew, and I just happened to have a doctor, and it happened a couple of times. I was definitely 50 when that happened.
Okay. Wow.
And I just so
Yeah.
happened to go see my doctor in a couple of weeks anyway for my annual. And she was like, yep,
That's it.
that's it. And then I just never knew when it was going to come. Um,
Yeah.
but now,
That's the worst part, the unpredictability of it.
right
Hmm.
now, it's really, really sporadic.
Hmm.
It doesn't, before it was intense and pretty much every other day or pretty frequent. Now it's occasionally.
Ooh,
So I'm
fortunate.
hoping I'm over that hump, but I don't know because I was at work maybe 3 or 4 months ago after almost a full year of not having anything, and then boom, it happened.
Hot flash?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
out of the blue.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Robbie?
Yes. So it was winter time
Mhm.
when I got my first one, and so I knew immediately what was going on because I'm typically cold usually because I have the hypothyroidism.
Hmm.
So I'm typically struggle with being cold. So it's winter time. I have on like this really bulky sweater. It's not a turtleneck, but it's got like the high collar to it. And I had a leather over it. And I'm in my car and I'm driving. And it hit me.
Uh-huh.
And it felt like someone set me on fire, like from at my waist. And then all the heat was traveling up, and it was just pouring out of the top of the sweater.
Wow.
Mhm.
And it's crazy, and it's always like that. Like when I get, that's how it feels. It's so intense. It's extremely intense. So the winters are horrible. I'm always sick now because I go out with a hoodie on or something, and my rationale behind it is, well, you're only going from the house to the car, and then from the car to wherever you're going, because I can't be in the car in a coat, because
Yeah,
it's
fully.
the
Mhm.
I'm going from AC is on full blast with the vents right on me, and then like that I'm freezing now, so now that's off, and then sometimes turning it off isn't enough. Turn the heat on now, and then 2 minutes later, and it's the entire ride. Like that's what I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So Norma, you are very fortunate, because when I tell you it's a everyday, all day occurrence, hot flashes and night sweats. The only good thing with the night sweats is I get that feeling of heat, but I don't sweat a lot. So that's
Yeah.
good. I get a little bit, but I don't really get those, like I've heard women like, or they wake up, their sheets are drenched and everything. Thank God I don't have that. But it's both of them, and it's every day, all day long.
Wow.
Robbie was, in my opinion, the original fan girl. Because
Where them fans at? Right
remember a
here.
couple of years ago, she would whip out that fan at book club.
Do
She
you
had
have
a
one of
fan.
the
Yes,
handheld electric
I've
fan?
upgraded. I have upgraded. I do have the big one, and I like the big one that I use, the actual one, but it's so big, it gives great air, but I tend to always carry my backpack because I need something that can fit it. And then when I would carry another bag and I'm not thinking, and now I'm carrying a purse or whatever, I go out and now I'm out of luck because I don't have it. So I had to upgrade and get the little electric one
Mm-hmm.
that you recharge, so that I can always keep it and it stays in the bag.
Yes.
Immediately when you change bags, you can forget your ID, your money, everything, credit cards, but put that fan in there first, because a couple times I've gone out without it. And that, again, that's like you go out and you already know before you start your night, like where the night's going to go, because I don't have my fan.
Yeah.
Struggles real.
Wow.
Go ahead, Tracy.
My first hot, I don't remember my first hot flash, but I remember when they first started, the sensation to me was like, and I found this very poetic. Of course, I'm gonna find the art in all of this. I found it to be similar to a contraction. So it's
Ooh.
like it starts off like, oh, what is that? What is that?
Mm.
And then it peaks and it's like, oh, I can't take it no more. And then it just slowly peters out. So mine is like a bell curve. And it's not like from the waist up. So it's interesting you all describe like the waist up or your face just sprouts
Yep.
sweat. Like none of that happened. I just would feel this like intense heat. It would go up like a contraction, and then it would go away. And they would come and go. It's not an everyday thing. What's interesting about mine is I rarely have them during the day. I
Mm.
almost always have them after say 7 o'clock at night. Don't ask me why. And I had like a sofa that was made of faux leather. If I'm sitting on that fake leather, it's gonna make me it's gonna make the hot flashes worse. But if
Okay.
I put a sheet behind me
Mm-hmm.
or something cotton, I don't get the hot flashes, or they're not as bad.
That's wild. That it's like that precise.
Oh, I know,
Mm-hmm.
but I know my
The
body.
whole
It's
routine.
super well. So I'm like,
Mhm.
me in the hot, I'm like, listen, we have an understanding. Night sweats, I didn't really suffer with that much. But another thing is I also noticed there are certain triggers. So certain alcohol will trigger hot flashes for me. So it's like understanding your body, taking note, if you have to journal it or whatever, like
Yep.
figure out, is there something that's triggering?
Yep.
Is it when I wear this outfit? Is it this material? Is it whatever? Like I try to really understand like what's going on. Like right now, I'm in a no to low flash stage. So I'm happy
Mhm.
about
Must be nice.
that.
Well, I can't even complain. I think I've had, I could probably count on one hand how many hot flashes I actually had, like in the daytime. And I think
Mm,
the first one that I actually really remember, I wasn't even in the stage of perimenopause. I was actually pregnant, and I was like 7 months pregnant, and was living in Mississippi at that time, and was driving and had to pull over to the side of the road because, like Robbie said, I thought I was being set on fire.
Wow.
Like, it was almost like a heat wave just
mm-hmm.
rushing up through the car, up my, and I'm just like, no fan or anything would help it. The AC was already on because I'm in
Right.
Mississippi and I'm pregnant. So, and I was like a good 8 months. So that was the very first hot flash I ever had. But when I started going through what right before my actual menopause was at work, and I'm a turtleneck girl. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
have a turtleneck on in the wintertime. And H&M makes this one turtleneck that I absolutely love, and I probably have 5 of them.
We'll drop the link in the chat later.
And they sell them every winter too, and I always go and rebuy them. So I'm just walking through the office, and I got this turtleneck on, and it's kind of long, and I was just like, I'm gonna die. What's gonna happen? You can't lift your shirt on. I mean, just
Right.
the way the heat comes, because it feels
Out of nowhere.
unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
It feels
Mm-hmm.
unnatural because
Not
it's
an
almost
unholy
like
heat.
you're
I started playing that card when I was still at the working at the bank. I,
Mhm,
I would have to work because there were certain days we had to be in the office. I think it was like 1 or 2 days a week.
mhm,
I had to go in. The rest of the time I would work remote. I actually got a few months out of that. I'm like, I can't do it because to your point, when you just said that, I
mhm.
can't lift my shirt up. Like I legit said that. Like I need to be with the least amount of clothes on as possible. There's no way I can
So
come to the office with the suit on and the this and the that. We can't do it. It's just not going to work.
so let's
Layers was
talk
not the
about
trend.
that.
No.
Let's talk about that because I don't think women get enough respect for our issues. Like they're just hardly giving us any respect for being pregnant in the
Right.
workplace.
Mhm.
And
Right.
then they gave men the same amount of time off as us after having a
Like
baby
that
that
makes
that
financial I said sense on
that
the
was not
scale.
ripped out of their bodies. But anyway, big up to the dads that got paternity leave. But I'm
Yep.
just saying
I'm not hating. I'm just saying.
One
the
surgery.
fact that and part of that was because you were in a leadership role, right? That you were able to make that. But women who are not in a leadership role, who don't have the autonomy and or may not work from home, who are forced to go into the office, it's like we don't get a pass
Right.
for that. I mean, thank goodness I work from home, so half the time I'm wearing less than like suit like attire. Like you said, I'm usually like in a something a little bit
Well,
forgiving.
from here up.
Same.
Yes,
I know.
Robbie telling my secrets. Yes.
Right.
Right. And that might explain why I don't get that many daytime hot flashes. But also I think I may have mentioned sometimes if I'm upset, that will trigger a hot flash. I don't know if I mentioned that.
No, you
Another
didn't.
part of it is the brain fog, as you mentioned.
Brain
So
fog.
if I'm upset about something or nervous about something, that can trigger a flash in me.
Oh wow. I love how in tune. I'm jealous how in tune you are.
Because
I
Like the
be
only
knowing
one
my
I know
body.
is this. I know this is a trigger, and unfortunately, I'm not journaling anything. I'm not tweaking it. It's just part of the
Robbie's like, I ain't
process.
writing nothing down.
I think too that other women, because I didn't know what it was when I was a younger woman. I didn't have any knowledge of what menopause was, and I didn't have my mom to go through. We didn't talk about it at home.
Mhm.
So I think even especially in the workplace environment, other women don't know what's going on either. Because if you're not going through it, unless you're talking about it at home or outside of work, you don't know about it. Like I would hear other women say, "Oh, I'm hot." I'm like, okay. So I think that's definitely a barrier in the workplace too, is because unless you're going through it, it's not as visible as like a pregnancy or
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
something else.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the shame of it. I
It
mean,
is a
like the
shame.
generation before us were really beaten down with. once they went through menopause, that they weren't woman enough. That actual being able to have a child is what made them desirable to a
Mm.
point. And so you did, I mean, I didn't have that. I mean, I had so many discussions with my mother about the body, but that was one thing that we didn't discuss. I
Mm.
think that was mainly because she had fibroids and then had to have a complete hysterectomy.
Okay.
So she didn't go through it. So, it probably just wasn't on her radar until I started going.
Mm-hmm.
And then my grandmother, she did go through it. We noticed when I was younger, there was just a time when my grandmama didn't have no clothes on. And it wasn't until I was old, I'm like, no,
Right. You
mom
make the
was
connection
suffering. She was,
older. Right. But as a younger woman or a young
I
adult,
didn't even
you
think of
don't,
it.
right. Why
Didn't
would you
even
make
think of
those connections?
But
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing, Shahida, what you just touched on and brought up. I think it's one of those things that um over time, right? We talk about them. Like it was just a lot of things in the past, and we're going to keep this on menopause, but there were so many things back then that just weren't talked about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I
it.
know for me, now that I'm experiencing this, like I always knew about menopause. Obviously, the only thing I really equated with it was hot flashes and night sweats. All the other symptoms never really didn't hear too much about that until I approached that part of my my life. But it's funny because now that I'm like literally going through it every day, and I live with my mom, so she sees it, and so now we talk about it. But I saw my mom. I'm a mama's girl, so I was always around my mother, but I never heard my mom complain the way I complain about menopause. So again, I just assumed she was fortunate. She wasn't someone that had to go through all these things. She had a much easier experience. So we were actually talking most recently about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, girl, it was bad. I did," and I'm like, "But you never said it." Like, you just the face on and whatever. I never knew. And again, I was around my mom all the time, so I just find that really funny. But I don't. I feel like the good thing is there's so many more conversations that take place now between parents and their children,
I
thankfully.
think we can thank the internet too for more transparency, because now there's like, they're just talking about it like the price of tea in China. Like they talk
Yep.
about any and everything online, and there's so many like, and there's so many products too they're trying to schlep to us, like, oh,
Oh,
take
yeah.
this, take that, take this,
Yep.
take that, to alleviate your menopause.
And
But
memes, and lots of good memes about it too, and
oh, funny
and
memes.
jokes and
But
jokes.
one of the things that I associate, like one of the, I don't know if it's funny or not, that I associate with menopause and perimenopause, which I guess it would be perimenopause, is change of life babies. That was the one thing
Girl.
that people would talk about. And if
Hmm.
people, if our audience or anyone listening doesn't know what a change of life baby is, and I put that in quotes, that's when a woman who's of a particular age, usually in her 40s or potentially 50s or higher,
Yep.
has an oops baby because they thought their period had completely gone away.
Hmm.
So maybe you did that 4 months like Robbie, and you're like, I'm good.
Right.
I don't have my period anymore. I'm in
Exactly.
Everybody's
menopause.
like, psych.
And then poof,
Hmm.
change
Yes.
of life baby, and you got one in diapers and one going off to college.
Or your grandma close.
Or your grandma and your aunt having a baby at the same time.
Mhm.
Right.
I have on my father's side, I have an uncle who is 2 years younger than me.
It happens.
Like
That's
what?
how it happens.
I think that's the funniest thing when you have the baby is the auntie or uncle, and
Of a
their
grown
auntie or
person.
uncle of a grown person. I think that is hilarious.
I I was always thinking, especially at 56 when I was still getting my period. Well, 55 when it was just regular, and I'm like, when is this gonna end? And I'm like, God forbid if that happened to me. Mia said, I will pack my stuff and I will leave here with the baby. I definitely would be pawning that child off or
Oh
jumping
my
off a bridge
goodness.
because
I can't
I do
even
not want no change of life.
imagine.
Mhm.
I like being a grandma.
Hmm.
Every weekend you can drop them off, but you got to come pick them up on Sunday.
Oh my goodness. Too funny though, but I love that term and it's still happening. I
Oh
have
yeah.
a close friend who's my age and her sisters got kids that are our age. So
Mm-hmm.
her mom was out there doing her thing.
Yep. I know a couple 50-year-olds who had babies.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Janet Jackson like 50 when she had her first child?
Yep.
You know, and
But
I'm
I
Yep.
think she
sure
was
soon after that.
trying. I think she was trying to have that
She
baby.
was.
Like,
Hers wasn't oops.
Wasn't an oops. Yeah, yeah, that wasn't an oops. That
Yeah,
was
hers was yes. Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
in the
finally
doctor's
ready.
office, and you hear that, and you'd be like, "Why are you being mean to me? Why would you say I'm pregnant?"
For real.
Wow.
That's so funny.
It's
And
hilarious.
I just can't see that. It's just the energy level has definitely changed.
Let's
Oh
talk
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, the energy level has changed. I used to laugh at people who were like, "Oh, I'm going to bed at 9." I'm like, "Shoot, I can't wait." I'm like, "Good night." It's 8:45. And then the hair change.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
what
of a
hair
sudden,
changes,
I'm like,
Norma?
"Oh, there's a
Deep
little,
dive.
yeah, could be a chin hair here," and you're like, "Where did that come from?"
Mine's come in right here.
So
My
in the
right there,
same spot,
Here and here.
yeah,
and this side right here. It's like so disrespectful.
it is disrespectful,
So disrespectful.
and
It,
I'm not getting any of those. They're like, you didn't get any that those chin hairs yet, Robbie. So we're gonna give you extra on these
But
night
you
sweats.
got the burning flames from the waist
That's what
up.
I'm
So
saying. There was like
it's
the
wild.
menopause gods was like, you gonna get more of this hair though, since you don't have some of this.
But you know what I find funny about the night sweat? So like all winter long, I was sleeping with my bedroom window open because just the breeze, even though if I'm in the blanket, I know that sometime during the night I'm going to wake up and it's going to be usually around 3 o'clock on fire. And
Mm-hmm.
mm,
the whole winter like that. And as soon as the spring has come through, it's less and less and less. I might wake up for like 5 or 6 minutes and feel a little sweaty, but nothing as intense as it was.
Mm.
I mean,
hmm.
and that's why I've always thought that they were the same thing, hot flashes and
Right.
and
misfits.
yeah, were the same.
Mhm.
But no, those hot flashes for me, they are murder.
Yeah,
Murder.
they can
Likewise.
happen during the day at the worst time in life. Maybe it was stress induced, and I didn't realize it.
Well, and
Like it,
one of the things too, they said that why Black women suffer harsher menopause and perimenopause is because of stress. And
Mm.
the number one reason part of that stress was racism. Just
Wow.
dealing
Mm.
with microaggressions and like just taking the train at work, dealing with systematic racism is part of the reason that we're stressed, which I found
Wow.
extremely interesting.
Which is, I advocate for a remote work environment. As a Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
if you can manage working from home, do it, because you miss all of that, a lot of it, you know what I'm saying,
Yes.
because you're not commuting with every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's also mad that they got to go to work. You're
Mm-hmm.
not in the office, people, trying to make you their Oprah Winfrey to fix their problems. You're not at the trying to get a sip of water and people, how was your week? Please get out my face.
Mhm.
Like, if you work from home, you do a couple Zoom meetings, XYZ, you're good. You don't got to deal with as much
That's
as you
so
do
true.
when you go into the
Mm-hmm.
office.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend, especially at this phase of life, please, at least a hybrid, couple days
Yeah,
on,
for
couple days
sure.
off. Yeah.
For sure. I lived in headphones. And they would be most of the time they would be off. It was just like a deterrent. You see
Oh, so
these?
people wouldn't come and talk
Yes,
to
and
you.
I would be working and people might see this and be like, I knew it. Watch it, I knew it. But I would
Robbie's
be
like,
working and they'll
can't
be
hear
like,
you. Can't
Robbie,
hear you.
Robbie. And I'd be like, and I hear it all. And then till they just walk off. You know?
That's a pro tip, period.
I just want to be by myself. I just want to be here and do what I got to do and then leave and go home.
right.
So let me be.
Interrupted. Get your stuff
Yeah.
done. Move on to the
No, I
next.
love that. That's I
Definitely.
do that to
As far as
my
like the work experience goes, but to see that as the number one reason, because I mean, it could be in the workplace, but it also could just be looking at the news or
Mm-hmm.
just driving through your neighborhood or just seeing,
Yeah.
because the microaggressions come from the person at Starbucks,
Everywhere.
Hmm.
dealing with that. And then it's part of that code switching that you have to do. That's stressful,
Exhausting.
Yeah.
so I could see it, but to understand that that is part of the reason why we go through it sooner and it's more harsher, that just seems so unfair.
But can I
Mm-hmm.
flip the
Dealing with
tables
that.
on the work place thing? And I
Mm-hmm.
know not everyone works, but the good majority of us work. And if you work for a corporation and you're paying crazy money for healthcare or
Mm-hmm.
insurance or whatever, or even if you get free care, tap into your insurance because there are often services, hormone therapies, or other types of menopause services you might be able to get through your employee assistance program. There's so many benefits we don't even
Yep.
tap into. Some woman told me she was doing like some kind of like vaginal muscular Kegel type thing. She was doing something and she was like, it's some kind of pelvic floor therapy.
Okay.
There's so many services you may not even know that you can
There's
tap
So
health
into.
true.
insurance, health insurance.
Health insurance, her insurance covers it. So you'd have to check with your insurance provider or see if you could pay and get
Yep.
reimbursed or what. But there's so many resources out there. And I think we just think, oh, if I got to go to the ER, if I catch a cold, if my kid gets the mumps or whatever. But there are services available, and we actually have a specific service that's available for women experiencing menopause through my company, which is a
That's good
major
to know.
corporation. Yeah, and like I said, I pay big money for health
Yep.
insurance. I'm grateful that
Yep.
these services are available to us. I think it's called Naven.
I'm gonna
Is
put it out there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I would have never thought to, you look at your health insurance package or whatever, but I would never have thought for it to be that specific. But you see, it's specific for pregnant women, it's specific for lactating women. Why
Hmm.
not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a relative, a cousin who's doing like there's injections that are involved, and there's like pellets. It's called pellets. And I don't have all the whole gist of it, but I know it involves injections and pellets. There are these pellets that are involved in the whole process. And she said it is amazing. So I
This
was
is
actually just,
menopause therapy.
So what?
yes, I was just talking to her before we came on to for today, and I had to end it and join with you guys. That's when I said I'm on my way. We were, because I was telling her I was going to be on today and what we were going to be talking about, and she was telling me about it and so forth. Because I was telling her, it was funny. I was waiting to join, and I got a text on my phone letting me know my Estroven has been delivered in my mailbox.
I was using that at one point.
I'm giving it one more try because I did try one because someone recommended it. And like you said, Tracy, to your point earlier, we're all different. Something could
Hmm.
be amazing for one person and do nothing for you. And I understand that. But I'm like, I'll just give it a shot, even though I don't really want to take anything. But I'm like, I need something, I got to try
Yeah.
something. So I tried it from one person, but I only gave it like 2 weeks. I saw nothing and gave up and threw it away. I just threw them in the trash. And then most recently, I was with another, um, in a meeting with another woman, and I kept pulling my fan out. So, of course, once the meeting was over, we started talking about menopause. This was last week. And she said, "Oh, I take this." And I said, "Is it estrogen?" She said, "It is." But it was a different type because they have variations
Yeah, they have
of
different.
them.
Mhm.
So she showed me the one she's using. So it just got delivered to the mailbox today. So we will be having that tonight after our cocktail. We'll have some estrogen. And
Mhm.
she said, but you have to do it the full 30 days, Robbie. You can't quit 2 weeks in. Just give it the full 30 days. And she says it's working wonderfully for her. So I'm
Mm.
So
gonna give
I
it a
was
shot.
taking the weight control one
Yep.
last year, and I was and
I
I
tried that first.
for a couple of months. I was taking it for a couple of months. I didn't have any complaints about it. I
Mm-hmm.
actually brought it to my doctor and
Okay.
said, this is what I want to start taking it, and I want to start taking. What do you think? And she looked at it and she's like, she liked the ingredients. She said it was pretty much so all natural remedy. She said it can't hurt,
Yep.
and I don't really have any, I don't think I had any complaints about it. I don't know why. I think with vitamins, sometimes I'll get on a kick and I'm taking it, buying it, and then 3 months go by and I don't do it again. But
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna actually get it again.
Mm. So
Mm.
you definitely noticed a change, a difference. It helped.
I feel like it helped with like I said, I didn't have like crazy hot flashes
Right.
with it, but I was
Right.
taking the one for weight gain. I
Okay.
do notice that I haven't been taking it the last few months, and I showed y'all my back
And
fat
you're
last night,
gaining.
and
Oh,
so maybe if I
The
had,
menopause back fat. Should we transition to that?
Now let's talk about the symptoms of menopause. That
my
I got all of them.
GYN,
I got all of them.
my GYN told me straight up. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're about to start gaining weight and you will not be able to take it off
Oh,
like you used
oh,
to." I was like, "Sir, why'd you say
said it
that?"
like that?
The minute
damn,
he said it,
Oh,
I gained like 20 pounds. I was like, "Sir,
wow.
why
I
did
feel
you
like I
even
gained
say it? Just
20.
don't even say it to me
so we have
because
So
It's mean.
my doctor, when I was like maybe like 50, she was saying, and I kept saying, "Oh, I want to lose weight." I think I was like 140 then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just want to get back down to like 135. She kept saying, "Well, you're about to go through menopause. So if you want to
Prepping
lose that
you.
weight, you need to start now." And then the next year, I'm like, "Yeah, I want it." If you should start now, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try." And I promise you, once that year hit, that
Mhm.
you saw, I showed you. I could, the fact that you can get fat on your back is still
Yeah,
on my mind.
it's terrible. It's terrible. It's
eating the
terrible.
same foods. I want to be
Mhm.
clear, not making significant like increases in your calorie intake. You're eating the same thing you used to always eat. You might even be eating salads, trying
Yes,
to lose weight, and you're still gaining weight as if you was eating a tub of ice cream.
it's
Like
crazy.
it's wild. It's
Yeah,
wild.
it is.
I was being disrespectful to myself because I was eating carrot cake almost every day. And you all know I love cake.
Thank you for your honesty. You're not blaming it all on the menopause.
right.
Okay.
That's what helped it because I've
But you probably could do that back in the day, is your point.
exactly, I could eat a
Right,
whole pizza back in the day by
right.
myself and still be 120. And then I got to that, turn 50, well,
Yeah.
really 55. God gave me grace. He's like, "I'm going to give you 5 more years to be stupid.
Oh my gosh.
Calm down." And I did not. And now I am crying. So,
I used to work out for fun because it was cool. Oh, I'm going to the gym, cute outfits and stuff. Now I'm mindful of it. I have the app, it has the scanner. I'm scanning everything I'm eating, I'm keeping
uh,
track of everything, and I'm working out. So I have like a deficit. So when you take the calories burned, and then me being mindful about my diet and what I'm eating, I was eating like 1,100 calories a day. And then I go a week and get on the scale, I gain weight. How? It's magic.
Muscle, Ron.
It's
no,
we
no,
need a
that
t-shirt
ain't
that
It
fly.
says
ain't
it's
muscle.
muscle.
I'm trying.
No, no,
That's what
no,
my mother tried to say. It's muscle. And then I became
no,
back fat.
no,
Like,
But if your
wait.
no.
body realizing it's going into another phase and is
Yeah.
trying to hold on to
The
fat,
fat,
whatever,
the fat.
it's from the caveman days
Hold on to
or
what?
whatever. You
You
know what
could
I
say the
mean?
F word, the fat.
Oh,
Holding on to the fat. Yes.
just in
From
case
yeah,
one day you end up somewhere where there's absolutely no food, you have something to tide you
I
over.
don't need that. There's
We'll be
plenty of
all right for a
food.
few months. For a few months.
Let me get skinny. I don't want to be skinny. I like
No.
having a little bit of oomph on me. I just don't like it on
You
my
want the
back.
clothes to feel good when you see.
I
I,
want the
maybe I
clothes
want
to
to see.
fit. How about they fit?
Right.
So
I
That's
wasn't
all.
even mad when I went from a size 4 to a 6. I'm comfortable with a 6. I'm
Oh,
comfortable
girl,
with a
I was 4 when I was a 4.
I was gonna say I told you yesterday. I don't think I weighed what you weigh now when I was in third grade. So I mean,
well,
but
I weigh 150
that's what I'm saying to you.
in the 3rd grade.
I was a large child. I might not have been
It
150,
wasn't
but
150.
by the time I would say by the time I was 11 or 12, I probably was. But I had also got my period at 9. So then I started like you know, so
Body's
that was
changing
like,
a different way. You're right.
that was another
Changes. So
thing.
yeah, yep, yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I got my period at 11, you
I
know.
was going on 15.
I
Oh,
was
But listen,
I was
all
going
them
on
little books
14.
we were reading in school, how old were you?
I was almost 15 and I couldn't wait. When I got it, I was like,
Same. And then I was like, this is it. I'm
So
so happy.
again,
I'm like,
like this, it's everyone's different. So it's like all those little books I was reading in school was like, oh, you're gonna get your period when you're 13. I'm like, I'm 9. Why have it already so
oh
you
my,
was
early?
blessed. You was blessed.
but
But
it
I
no.
will
was
say,
When you consider it, you have to go through like basically
That's crazy.
your whole
like
life.
you're barely taking your own bath by yourself at
Right.
9. Like
No,
your
I couldn't
parents are still kind of,
I feel for you, Tracy. I couldn't imagine like that. Like if I can ask. We're talking
yeah.
openly and
Listen, it's what
honestly
we're here
here.
for.
Like what was that like? Like to walk me through it from the
With
eyes of a 9-year-old. Like what was that like?
So here's the thing. We talk about shame and menopause. For
Mhm.
me, I was feeling ashamed that I had my period at 9.
I could
Mhm.
And
see
I
that.
did
remember
you know
my
what
mother,
it was?
I knew what it was because as a kid, I read a lot of
She's a
books.
reader.
Yeah.
I like legit, I already knew what was gonna happen. I just knew, like I
Mhm.
knew all the things. I wasn't scared. I didn't think I was bleeding to death. I knew
Mhm.
what was happening,
Mhm.
etc. I'm not gonna say my mom had
This wasn't
an
Judy Bloom books.
Judy
Right,
Bloom,
right.
exactly. I'm not sure if my mom had like an in-depth conversation, but I remember her specifically saying, okay, I'm going to give you these pads to bring in your backpack,
Yep.
change them every hour. I'm like, ma'am, I don't think you know how school works, but okay. I
Mhm.
took the pads or whatever. And her biggest thing was don't tell anybody. I'm like,
Oh.
Uh,
but why? You know
Oh
what I mean?
wow.
And
Mm.
I didn't understand. I didn't know why she
mhm.
didn't want me to tell anybody. But of course, as soon as I got to school, I told my little friends, like, oh my God, I got my period. And but it was just like a thing that I carried with me. It was like, oh, you're not supposed to tell anybody the period.
Mhm.
But then I'm gonna tell you what changed my mindset about periods was an episode of the Cosby Show when Rudy got her period. Do you guys
Mhm.
remember that?
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Rudy got her period and they had a whole party for her and celebrated her. And it was like this rite of passage. So when my daughter got her period,
You did that?
probably around 10 or 11, I made a big deal
That
out of
is
it for
so
her.
very Tracy.
It's crazy. It's crazy because my mother did that for me. Now I got my
Did she?
period when I was 11, but my mother was on vacation. Her and my father were in Montreal, so I was staying at my teacher's house, Miss Idella Hill, and so I was staying with her and her two girls, and we had a party when I got mine because
That's dope.
it was always an uplifting thing. I felt good. It was my rite of passage. And then when my mom came home, then I had it with my aunts. That was another. It was my rite of passage. And when my daughter had her period, I did the same exact thing.
Mm.
My mother and we took her out to dinner and got her presents. And yeah, so yeah,
I
I
got gypped.
remember that Cosby. But,
Probably like I was robbed.
Got gypped.
When my daughter got hers, she was so prepared that I was I was sleeping and she woke me up and she told me and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was ready to listen. She's like, she already took care of everything. I
I
thought, oh,
remember you telling us that,
I
but
was so
that's the kind of kid that she was too.
oh. Then I was like, well, we gotta start writing it down. She's like, there's an app for it. I already
Ooh,
downloaded it.
technology,
Look
baby.
at technology.
Really? So yeah. She was so prepared.
well, that's
She
a testament that you raised her to know about it. So that's why she was
She
never
was
wanted
good to
to keep
go.
it secret. I didn't want her to feel shamed, embarrassed, or unknowing. From the day that they could talk, I was always talking about their body age appropriately.
Yeah.
It was never a
So
shame, and I thought that was always important.
I tell
Yep.
my boys about periods too.
Same.
I was
I
just
used to
gonna
be like, leave
say,
them damn girls alone. You don't know the shit
Right.
they're going through. Leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to point that out too, that I also educated my sons on. So I have to say, like, my sons are really woke when it comes to female, like, gynecology. It, like, not even issues. I don't want to call them issues because it's what we all go through,
Mhm.
Yep.
periods and
Yep.
all of that stuff. I haven't had an open conversation with them about menopause yet, but I'm thinking about it now. I'm thinking I'm going to start
Mhm.
preparing them now, and just like, I'll just drop it in regular conversation. Like, oh, wow, I'm having a hot flash. Let's talk about it.
Mm.
That kind of thing, because I think that more men need to be involved in the
Yeah. I
conversation.
love that because I know, like, thinking back in the day when it comes to periods and our cycles and everything, the only thing I remember hearing was, we're just moody. That was like how
Mhm.
we were labeled.
Mhm.
Oh, she's
Oh,
on her
okay.
stereotype.
Yeah,
She's on
PMS.
her period.
PMS.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, look out.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when you for relationships and so forth, like, they need to understand. They need to know what's going on over here and what we're dealing with. Like,
For
totally.
sure.
And
Totally.
We're running up
yeah,
on 10 minutes left for this episode, but before we wrap it up, and we talked about the hot flashes, the night sweats, and I feel like the next logical thing would be your experiences with sleep disturbances, because
We ain't got enough time, girl.
we are we can pick it up the next time. But that was a shocker for me, because I thought that as you got older, as I was getting older, that, oh, I didn't need as much sleep, because it was nothing for me to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and just
Mm.
be up for the rest of the night, and then be feeling sleep deprived, and that's where the brain fog starts rolling in.
Oof.
And so it took me a while to understand that I had to try to find. That's why I was taking the what is it called?
Estrogen.
Estrogen, is
Mm-hmm.
to help me maintain sleeping through the
steady
night.
sleep.
Yeah, because
Mm.
I mean, how are you guys sleeping now versus how you were maybe a year or two ago?
I
Is
I'm
it?
like an owl. I'm up all night long.
Oh my
Like
God.
Lionel Richie, all night long.
I sleep around 9 to 10 o'clock, and I wake up around 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I would appreciate it if it was like a productive wake up. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm.
Like I got up and did something.
What does that look
I'm
like?
not getting up.
What's productive wake up?
I know at two.
I don't have
You go pee? Like,
yeah, I don't have a productive wake up because I
okay.
remember
Oh, you
a
want
girl
one?
from mine used to get up and she was like, "That's when I did my best cleaning." I'm like, "Well, I just go on
Oh, okay.
Facebook sometimes or watch."
Okay.
Brainstorming and coming up with ideas and writing them down in the middle
Mhm.
of the night. Yeah.
But
None of that.
then no, and it's like, but then I would fall asleep around 3:30, 4 o'clock, knowing daggone well I need to be up by
Time
6.
to be up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, it's funny. So you just talked about now that I'm listening to everyone, because in addition to the sleep interruption, my sleep, forget about it. Sleep,
Mhm.
I'm going to sleep at 5, 6 o'clock. And again, thank God I'm not punching someone else's clock, because I'll just be like, I don't have any meetings. I'm just going to sleep. And we get up when we get up, thankfully.
Mhm.
But now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if there probably is, for, again, everyone's different, but there's probably a connection with the brain fog and the interrupted sleep.
Mhm.
Because my brain fog is happening all day. I'm walking around the house saying, where am I going? What am I doing? Like, that's just all day, and it's other things, but that's the one that's happening on a regular basis. I'm constantly walking around the house with the purpose to do something, tell somebody something, get something. By the time I get a few steps, I have no clue what I was getting ready to
Yeah.
do. But it's probably connected with, I'm sleep deprived now, in a
Yeah.
sense.
And that could also be connected to you getting sicker in the winter
Mm.
as well, because that was one of the things that they mentioned online,
Oh,
was
so
that because you're not getting enough sleep, you're more susceptible to getting.
Oh,
Mhm.
I spent all winter sick. Y'all know there was big book club meetings when I was
Yeah.
calling in and everything. I was always sick.
Yeah.
It's such a
Wow.
disruptor.
It is an absolute disturbance. I feel like I'm getting better now, because I'm trying to be more conscientious about it, because I know, but then also my night sweats are taming down. So I'm getting more sleep than I did in the wintertime. So if I go to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock and I don't wake up until like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, that's a win.
Mm.
win for me.
Mm.
And most times I'm waking up at 5, but before it was 3 o'clock, could not go back to sleep. That was all winter long.
Yeah.
And I still don't, I still have the brain fog, which is another thing, which is, so we really need to delve into, because when you don't feel like your brain is working quickly, it's like sluggish,
Mm-hmm.
that affects everybody. I hate that stuttering moment I get when I'm trying to find a word,
I
where
can
my
never
brain
find the
is
words.
moving fast or moving slow, but my mouth is moving fast. It's
Mhm.
Can I just say something? I don't remember where I was. I was somewhere recently, and you know how sometimes you're out and just a lot of people will be coming up to you to say hi to you and things like that. And I'm trying to like field them all, you know?
Mhm,
And I went to say, I don't know if I was saying bye to the person, whatever, but I called them my name. I was like, and I was traveling. I was getting ready to travel. This is
mhm.
insane.
I have done that.
I was traveling and I said to the person when I was saying goodbye, I called them my name and I said, enjoy your trip.
You were
And they caught it, obviously. And they were like,
so
oh
you
my
didn't
bad.
say like
I'm
so it
Yeah,
wasn't
I'm
like one of those
Robbie,
things where
and
you
I'm the
said
one
what
traveling.
it wasn't like they said have a nice trip and you said you too. It was
No,
like
I
no, you
went to
said
say
have a nice.
bye to them
And you said,
and I called them my name
you said, bye,
and told
Robbie.
them to have a good trip.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Tracy, remember when I was introducing you to Vanessa Williams?
Call her Vanessa
What
Williams.
did you say?
I couldn't remember her name. I was
She
like,
can remember my name. And it okay, so for context, it's not like, oh, Shahida was starstruck. No, Shahida just literally forgot my name. She knows Vanessa Williams.
Right, right.
She's met her and spoke to her before.
It was just this stuff.
it was.
She was just like, I brought this lady with me, but I don't remember.
I said, introduce yourself, girl.
I'm bad like that, but I know your name. You know what I mean? But if someone I haven't seen in a while
Okay.
and they
Can I?
come up,
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah.
Now, I was going to say, my thing is, I can't remember who people are. So if I'm not around you a lot, like I know y'all very well, I see
Mhm.
y'all once a month, but if I haven't seen you for like 6, 7, 8 months or longer, and I don't even know you that well to begin with, people be really approaching me like, Tracy, da, da, da."
Right.
I'm like, I don't know who this person is. And
Everybody's hun.
Do they look
and that's
familiar?
Everybody.
fine. That's fine when it's just me and them. But when it's a situation where now I got to introduce you to the other people that I'm already talking to, I'm just like,
Oh,
I
girl.
don't know. So my new trick is, do you guys know each other?
Ooh, that's a good
Oh,
one.
I'm writing that down because I'll forget.
And then have a coughing
Then I'll
attack.
be like,
Have a
go ahead and
coughing
introduce
attack.
yourself. I'm gonna go to the bar.
Okay. So at my job, it's a running joke because I don't know people's names, but I talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have made it a game, whereas I'm trying to figure out what the person's name is without asking them or asking anybody else. So, looking for clues or trying to get them to say their name. That's how bad my brain fog is that we have made it an actual game now. This
Mhm.
guy that comes and talks to me every single day, I have no idea what this man's name is. And we talk
Mm.
about stuff. And he's funny, and he, just all, do not have a clue what his name is.
Now, can I ask
Mm-mm-mm.
you, do you go and make it a point to find his name and know it, but you just
No,
can't retain it?
nope. The game is I got to figure out the damn name.
Oh, okay. I'm
Bob from
terrible
Now,
too.
accountant. Bob from accountant. Just
Right.
and
I
she's good.
started telling people now. Like that's my thing now. When I meet people, I
mhm,
put disclaimers out now from the jump so everybody knows. Oh
mhm.
my goodness, I'm so bad with name. And then they usually say, "Oh, me too." And I be looking at them now, girl, not like me. Like we by the time we walk away
Thank
from
you,
each other,
Mom.
I probably won't remember your name before we even finish this conversation. It's already gone. No, I'm terrible. But
Mhm.
Tracey, that happened to me, and I'm glad you said that. That's a good one. I'm going to use it because that's my. I can always, you can say, "Hey, hon, how you doing?" Da, 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 with these things. But when you're with someone and you don't do the intro, that's when it gets tricky. But now I'm going to do what you said because last time it happened, I just went with it. And something told me not to do it because I wasn't 100% that was her name.
Mhm.
But like a fool, I said, I'm going to just go for it. I'm going for it. I'm going to take name recognition for 500, Alex. I said,
No,
I
the worst.
introduced her and it was the wrong name. And she said, she didn't even say nothing to me. She put her hand out to the other person and said, my name is Tracey,
That's
whatever
the
it was.
worst part. It's so
It's terrible.
embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. The
It
worst part
is.
is when you are literally there and you're in that scenario and you like I've been in this situation where I'll be like, "Hi, I'm Tracy," and they're like, "We've met
Yes, yes,
multiple
yes.
times.
Mm.
I don't know you.
Maybe I
I
should
don't."
wear a t-shirt that says, I have menopause. What's your name?
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to add a little something to the sleep experience.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's menopause or just me, but I've always been kind of a night waker. So I
Mhm.
can't tell if menopause is
The
impacted
culprit.
it, more so than anything. But I do have a sleep system that I've developed because, like I said, I know my body. I start experimenting. This is my sleep routine. First of all, I don't go to bed till after 1 a.m. because why? If I'm gonna wake up, might as well go to bed late so I can wake up later.
Right, right.
Go to bed at 1 or later. I
Mm-hmm.
have two blankets that I sleep with every night. I don't care what the weather is. I sleep with these two blankets every night. It's a soft blanket that I put directly on my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that goes my weighted blanket.
Mm.
Okay. Then I have a fan at my bedside, which
Yep.
I use at my leisure.
Yep.
If it gets super hot, wake up 2, 3 in the morning, flip it on, and it's like a little table fan.
Yep.
I'm good. I'm going back to sleep. I have an eye mask with the padded eye little joints, blocks out every kind of light possible. So I'm in a cocoon, literally, when I go to bed.
It works
Okay.
for you.
Yes, and if Mr. White wants to come for me, he got to peel all of that off because that's
To
going
come
on.
for me.
That's all going on before I go to bed. I don't care what's kicking off in the middle of the night.
we're
I'm
we're
going to bed
using
like that.
these. Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Yeah. I'm a cuddler. I can't even cuddle
Yeah.
anymore for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
Because of the hot heat.
I'm
it,
too hot.
mm-mm. It's
mm.
just too much for all that togetherness.
Yeah, it lasts a good, and I'd be freezing, so I was looking forward to it because I'm cold, and I'd be like, oh, this feels great. It would be like 5 minutes.
That's enough. That's enough.
No, I don't.
Terrible.
But for me, going back to the brain fog, for me, I found, and I actually talked to my doctor about it, and I've been really trying to push her to maybe give me something for it because I have to put together a lot of, presentations. And
Yep.
it's hard where a presentation used to take me like maybe an hour to do, where now I feel like I'm struggling to get like a couple of lines in an hour.
Wow.
And so my doctor, she's very holistic sometimes, so
Mm-hmm.
she's not, I'm like, I don't know what is it, Ritalin? I don't care what it is, whatever the kids are taking.
I have a prescription for
Not
you.
the
It's called
Ritalin.
it's called Chat GPT. Put all that shit in there and it will write your whole presentation in
I,
5 minutes.
and I get it because, like my daughter said, that's her personal assistant. But I still
Yes.
don't like not to be able to think the way that
Don't even
I
worry about
thought
it,
like
sweetheart.
2 or 3 years ago. I like to be able to create words and put them down on paper, but I feel it's almost like I feel like a block. And I was scared for a minute because I'm like, is that a tumor? You know,
Oh, geez.
that's
I had
how,
that. Yeah.
and we can pick this discussion up because I'm, gonna log off in a minute. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very serious thing that, like
Mm-hmm.
mine is obviously more extreme than you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about just writing something, but it's also walking and then forgetting in that middle, and then we all walk into a room and forget what we were intended to go.
Yep.
But sometimes I could be walking and be like, where did you know, I know it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but I get sometimes nervous if I'm walking and I'm like, okay, where did I put my car?
I've had,
Where's my car? And I'm like,
but
I'm doing the beeping and and it's like no idea. I don't like having a clue about things that happened 10, 15 minutes ago.
So you're feeling like you're going into Alzheimer's. That's how I felt when it started
Oh shit.
happening.
No, I wasn't thinking.
I'm like, yo, do I? That's
You
what I was like,
not you
yo.
wasn't before.
I was like early. I was like early Alzheimer's because why else? So I'm at my doctor's office. He's like, "Ma'am, you do not have Alzheimer's." I'm
Mhm.
like, "Are you sure?" Because I will think something and forget it as like
It's
I'll
quick.
literally
Before
be
that.
like in the shower,
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I'm about to do X, Y, Z." By the time I get out the shower and dry myself, I'm like, "Was it Z X Y? What was I saying?
Mm.
What was I gonna?" And then I'll remember it 20 minutes later when
Mhm.
I've already gotten in the car and I forgot, oh, I wanted to return
Yeah.
something at the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or
now
I
I'm like more intent with like I've always been a list person, but
Mm-hmm.
now I've gotten very intentional with the
Yeah.
list. I mean, I can't help walking into the room and forgetting that there's nothing I can do for that. I'm not gonna
Right.
write it down like, oh, let
Right.
me go into
Right.
the room to get up this cup or whatever.
Yep.
But things that I feel like are like important, like the day that I have at work, because I could be going to work and be like, I know there are certain things I need to be doing, but I forget them. The little
Yeah.
sticky
things, the
notes.
little things. So I write everything down. So
Well, my mom told me recently, she texted me and said, all right, girl, too much forgetting going on. I'm getting worried about you. I'm like, oh Lord, it ain't supposed to be like this. That's not how this
Mm-hmm.
conversation is supposed to
It's
go.
supposed to go the other way around.
Right. And she was dead ass when she
you were
said it.
forgetting that much?
Yes, and it's constantly because there's just she's on the lower level. I'm on the not the mid, the top level. So there's a lot of texting going on.
Okay.
So she'll be asking me questions, and I'll be no, nope, nope, mm-mm. And then she'll text, no, Robbie, we said boop 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 boop, and yep, you're right. Nope, yep, you, and but it happens a lot. So
Yeah.
most recently, that was her response back. She was like, way too much forgetting going on here. Getting worried. I'm getting worried about you. But she wasn't joking. Like she
Mhm.
was serious. So
Yeah.
to your point, Shahida, I feel you because it makes me sit back like I know it's part of the whole thing, the brain fog and so forth, but is it too much? Is it something else going on
Mhm.
over here? Because it does feel like it's a lot sometimes.
And is there a way to correct it naturally? Like, maybe some natural herbs. I've been reading up on that and we can talk about that next time. But yeah, I'm looking for like some remedies for
Do
it.
crossword puzzles, they say.
Girl, I've been doing crossword puzzles. I do Wordle. I do all the little games.
establish
All
a
the games.
I be
routine.
playing the hell out of them games and I don't forget to do them, but I forget the important stuff I need to be doing.
What were you saying, Norma?
For me, and I'm really trying, I'll do it for a little bit and then I fall off track, is to really establish a routine. Say Monday, just whatever it is, I'm going to do this consistently on these dates. Just always have a routine and schedule stuff. I think that
Yeah,
would help. When I'm not as organized, everything goes, my space, my mind, everything is just
I could
off
see that.
kilter.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
agree with that. Yep,
Yeah. I
yep.
feel like you
I'll,
have to do that.
I'll say one thing. I know we're getting ready to wrap, kind of like my final thought here,
Hmm.
if I may. One thing I'm noticing here is you guys are really in tune with, I'm hearing a whole lot of spoke to my doctor and I brought this to my doctor. I'm not doing that. So I should probably do
Connect.
more of that. Like I noticed that during this conversation, you guys were all saying that.
Hmm.
And if you noticed, I didn't. I didn't say anything about that. So I probably need to do a little better of communicating um, with
And
my
you could do it
doctor.
in the app. Like your doctors all have apps. You can write them a message. You don't even have to make
Right.
an appointment. You can write your doctor like, "Hey, I noticed this. My mom
Yep.
said blah blah
Hmm.
blah." Write the little note. The doctor
Yeah.
might be like, "Okay, next time I see you, we're gonna talk about that."
Yeah. I'm slipping on that for sure.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
feel
something
like
I have to get better with.
Yeah, we all should. You should all talk to the doctors, and that's part of the reason why there's not a lot of research done on Black women in menopause. And we just start. I mean, really, I think the most the latest one I've seen was 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But before then there wasn't like practically nothing on our
Mm-hmm.
symptoms and how we deal with
Mm.
things, and it was just going off of like white women, Caucasian women. So yeah, I think you should talk to your doctor. And a lot
Yeah.
of, again, like we all said, like my doctor just said menopause. She never said perimenopause.
Right.
Never
Mm-hmm.
said perimenopause. I love
Yep.
her, she's great, but she never said
Yep.
that.
Right.
Yep.
So, so until the next time, and next time we have, we're going to go through some more of the symptoms. I mean, we need to talk about these mood swings, the irritability.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Talk
Let's
about
talk.
that and who's getting it, who's not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Listen,
real
even if it's
talk.
with yourself, even if
That's
with
real talk
yourself.
right there. Look, but in my head, I'm doing it all the time.
And I'd like to hear more about some remedies too, like or
Hmm.
Yeah,
people do to cope
yeah, the
that
coping.
works.
Yeah.
Whether
It's crazy how much there is to this time. I mean, we could have went on and on and on because
That's why
you
it's a
tried to
I
series.
thought
steer
it was
the
doing like 4 or 5
conversation.
episodes.
That's it's gonna
Yes.
take, and we're not gonna get all of it in the four, but we are gonna give some things away. So stay tuned. Watch our socials for the giveaways. They are going to be appropriate. They're going to be on theme. So
Hmm.
okay.
All right. Well, thank you
Nice.
again, ladies, for joining us for the
Thanks for
very
having
first
me. I
episode.
yes,
enjoyed this. This
You
was
got to come
great.
back. Gotta
They
come.
say misery loves company. That's all I'm going to say.
So until the next time, peace out, everybody.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.